Hi, everybody. This is 939 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. But he didn't just vanish, something happened. And we are getting more and more information, and every day, believe it or not, this has not stopped. This has not stopped. And politics is a big part of this um, because people have to be uh, ready to understand what has happened. And I remember Captain Park, which, I was going to look that up. Let me see if I can look that up. Captain Park's letter. Um, because I had mentioned that if I hadn't watched Vanessa Guillen, I wouldn't have even known. I don't think the coverage in the media is good at all. And I don't think that I would have even known about what was going on in our military. And I mentioned that, and I know that Captain Park um, put that in his letter, and I meant to, let's see, let's see, oh, I want to search it. Sorry. Here we go. And I want to talk about the poisoning and what is going on politically with this poisoning in Ohio, the response. Um, Here it is. Yay, I got the whole thing. Awesome. Okay. I got the whole thing. Here it is. Okay. Um, yeah, so uh, the response from our government, what is going on, and let's look at that real quick because this is really, really important I'll do some current events um, because it's really important to understand what the politics has to be in order to get answers about our son's case because the politics, everything has been politicized, and our agencies who we depend on that have been politicized have also been weaponized and weaponized against us, weaponized to cover things up, to shadow ban, to have shadow policies, to not answer your letters or emails with official letters that are signed, that have a seal on it, that have a watermark on it, that you can trust, that they can give you something that you can trust. See, there was none of that. It was all shady. It was all, do you remember, if you've been watching for a while, you may remember Rob in the truck saying, I don't know what's going on with this investigation. We knew very early on that they were keeping things from us. And of course they were. They knew everything. We had to find out that Richard had put in Child Protective Service complaints. And they already knew that. They already knew that before we knew Richard went missing. That is what triggered the IG being all over the barracks. That's absolutely makes sense, right? And they knew that before we even knew our son was missing. And so they used military operations against us. They used asymmetric warfare tactics against us. They were weaponized against us, which is so criminal. So criminal. So who do we sue? Who do we go? Can we get the death penalty on the table and talk about this? Because this is treason. This is hurting our whole country, our national security. And some people thought at the beginning when I would say some things like this, what is going on? They would act like I was an over exaggerating, overreacting mother. And of course, there were then the political pundit shills, the FBI informants that were assigned to this case unknowingly to us, that started sending us vile, vulgar messages, would direct us and maneuver us and lead us, um, so that they could cover up things, that they could control the narrative, that we couldn't, that they could sabotage the search for our son. So that was very clear to us. And it was, it's been pretty heartbreaking because these people, can you believe it? Our government actually weaponizes FBI informants and political shills and that against us, and uses the CEOs, these big companies, to shadow ban, to cover up, the search for a missing soldier that we have been told by someone that says he's with the FBI. And the FBI says, well, he's not a special agent. Okay, then he's an FBI informant, right? I talked to him twice. So, but I wanted to play this. I thought this was really important.
Okay, welcome back. I just want to make sure the audience, because this is going to be a complicated one, and we're not going to get off this. If it was not for the Nick Sorters of the world and the Michael Patrick Leahy's of the world and other these citizen journalists and these other, people on Twitter and things like that, and of course War Room and a couple of others, this has all been buried, and the poor folks in East Palestine, Ohio, would have just been thrown away like trash, and their lives destroyed. The houses go to zero, the kids sick, all of it. It's because of that, and we're relentless. You got to remember. Think of what the spokesman, because they're all running for cover. As I keep telling people, give me a timeline and give me the model. Give me the model. Whatever your model is, I want to see the model. I want to see the assumptions. I want to see the math, right? And I want to see the timeline. What Michael Patrick Leahy has just reported at the Ohio Star, which has been on top of this and breaking a tremendous amount of news, that the spokesman, in an exclusive interview, the spokesman, the head of communications, the comms director, the spokesman for the governor of Ohio, said that, hang on, that Mike DeWine agreed with the decision, and that Norfolk Southern executed on the decision on the controlled release and the controlled burn that came thereafter. But that he did not disagree when Michael Patrick Leahy said, well, according to Jeffrey Clark, who was Trump's assistant attorney general for all things environmental, the only person who could, wait for it, authorize it is the on-scene commander for the EPA. Excuse me. He said, I do not disagree with that. The Biden regime authorized this. Now we're getting somewhere. The Biden regime authorized this. They authorized it. It's not Norfolk Southern's deal. They authorized the controlled release. They authorized the controlled burn. And Michael Reagan, the EPA director who's running around and telling everybody everything's going to be fine now, we need to get him in front of Congress like on Monday and have a hearing and find out exactly what he looked at before the Biden regime polluted the water. They're all running around. You got a backyard creek. They're up in your grill trying to put you in prison if you take the backyard creek and water your corn, right? If you're some farmer. The Water Act, they got all this, the groundwater thing. Hey, they're in your grill every time you turn around as the administrative state Nazis. But here, what model did they look at? We heard Michael Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I'm getting the old okey doke from DeWine. Didn't DeWine tell us they checked in with the National Guard? If he approved, did he also have his own deal to kind of look? He said the Ohio National Guard or Department of Defense or some kind of screwball, association that should have nothing to do with this, like gave him wind velocity or did some sort of modeling, talk about where the wind was going to blow over Pennsylvania, right? Didn't he say that? What is this? Is he giving us the old okey doke, or do you think he's being straight with us?
Well, I certainly think it's within his capability to give you the old okey doke. Um, Steve, he did say that they did have modeling before the controlled burn was executed from the Ohio National Guard with help from the Department of Defense. That is an odd environmental modeling group to take advantage of when you've got the U.S. EPA there. That's really what the EPA has done for decades. What's interesting about this is, and to his credit, Dan Turney, the spokesperson for the Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, spoke with us about this, and he said it's not inconsistent with his understanding of how this happened that the on-site coordinator for the EPA authorized the controlled burn. Well, the EPA, we've been asking them since Tuesday morning to confirm those details, and they have not responded to us. That, I think, is really, if you want to look for the smoking gun, if you will, here, the document, decision-making authority, DeWine is pointing at the EPA through his spokesperson in this statement to us, the federal EPA.
Okay, now we know the Biden regime, according to the governor's spokesman, who seems like a pretty straight guy, he's saying it's not inconsistent with he's saying, hey, we approved it, or we agreed with it, didn't approve. We agreed with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That Norfolk Southern executed, right? Their hazmat group executed, and or some press gang they just put together. I mean, who knows, right? But the EPA, consistent with what we know, is the only person who has the authority. So Biden's regimes, they're all for clean air, and they got to have climate change, and everybody's got to change. All the school curriculum's got to change. You got to shut down you can't pump any oil. All the school kids, it's all got to be Green New Deal, right? The Financial Times today has a big old cover story, and a big old cover story right here. The U.S. transition to wait for it, green superpower. We're going to become a green superpower. That's the next thing. It's only cost us $19 trillion. Right? It's only going to cost $19 trillion. You'll be burning coal in your house, so the atmosphere is like Dickens London, as it is in London right now. It's the highest, parts per million since the Victorian era, because they're all huddled around the coal burner trying to get more burning wood they're out in London stripping the forest, stripping St. John's Woods out there in the north side of London, right? Stripping it of all the wood, right, to burn it. So you're going back to, a couple of hundred years ago, you're going to be a green superpower. But when something really important comes up, you don't see any modeling, you don't see anybody taking responsibility. The Biden regime did this. And this is why this is why Pete Buttigieg is not out there. He didn't want to get asked a direct question from a guy like Nick Sorter with his iPhone. It's all becoming clear now. The Biden regime, oh my God.
Okay, so what does this have to do with Richard, right? What does this have to do with Richard? And there's more. There's more. When I watch this, it's like deja vu. Because you see, it had to be the general officers, the 4-star General McConville, that gave operational orders, that approved the cover-up of our son's case, and acted with the FBI, because we have this great testimony and they are not answering us. Okay, when we say, is the FBI hiding the remains of our son? Okay, are they hiding the remains of our son? Did they find Richard's remains in Juarez, and are they hiding it? Because the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado, who says he's with the FBI, so the FBI says he's not a special agent, so he must be an FBI informant. He's with the FBI. Says that the FBI found Richard's remains in Juarez, Mexico. And this is not just any guy. This is a father-in-law of a FBI informant, and also the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM Richard's command under Major General Clem Coward, right? Clem Coward, and then Brigadier General Stewart. Clem Coward is the highlight. There's a lot of other officers underneath that, but he's the one that should answer. How deep was his involvement with Leilani Hart, with Dallas Hart, with Richard, right? With Asia Graham? Why did he smoke Richard? There's not enough paperwork there at all. There's no paperwork. There's no paperwork. There's nothing. There is nothing. Do not tell me that one counseling slip for 0.04 BAC is something. It's nothing. It is a nothing burger. We take underage drinking seriously. It was so insulting. And this is their SOP. They are committing crimes against humanity. And they're lecturing me that Richard knew better to drink underage 0.04 BAC. I mean, give me a break. And they are committing huge porn crimes, porn distribution crimes, porn production crimes, porn grooming crimes, rape, creating the barracks as a marketplace for illegal drugs, child sex trafficking, human trafficking. I mean, vicious, vile crimes that are being fostered, fed, fertilized, even trained. Military is rough training, of course. But that's why you have to have good leadership to balance that warlike training with the Medal of Honor ethos, with esprit de corps, with the be all you can be, an army of one, leave no soldier behind, right? You have to have this moral base. You have to have leadership. Leadership stands for loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. I hope I got them all. Did I say respect? Yeah. So that is that's why they have all of that to train them. And yet they'll give you this runaround when something like this happens. Look, they didn't even contact us. Okay, they didn't even contact us. It's like Ohio. They don't even come. FEMA doesn't even come. Buttigieg, the dog, or is he a dog? I don't know. No. Oh, sorry. He's a mayor. Sorry. I can't help it. I was much softer a few years ago. But all of this sex porn, grooming and everything like that, and what they're doing is so to our volunteer sons and daughters, to our children in schools, to our culture, to, blaspheming, just slapping God in the face, and it just, we have this beautiful world, we have this beautiful country, and look, this mayor that is up to no good, y'all. No good. He doesn't even go. So I wanted to see these people, to see what's going on. And he's in charge of this stuff, right? I mean, he's part of this stuff with the EPA and all of them. And I'm just saying, this is the same standard operating procedure that we have seen within this weaponized, very very evil DOD, Department of Defense. Very evil. I mean, you have the Secretary of the Army flipping off Senator Ted Cruz, flipping her off. And guess what? He had no recourse. He had to let her flip her off. And the letter that he wrote, I'm going off on a tangent. the letter that he wrote was really important, and it was really good, and it really helped us, right? It was 11 out of 1 to 10. It was 11, hit it out of the ballpark. Great. But what really taught us something was when Christine Warmouth, okay? Doomsday Christine Warmouth, flipped off a sitting senator asking very decent questions. And she flipped him off. And she's 23 ranks lower than him. Lower. That is like a private flipping off the president, right? Flipping him off. And the president, or Senator Ted Cruz, had no recourse. He did not go and have her arrested. She should have been arrested, shackled, and put in the behind bars. That what to me, she flipped him off, didn't even answer his questions. And he had no recourse. And what that told us is that someone else is leading this country. And they have captured our military. And when I saw General McConville being like a lap puppy for this Christine Doomsday Warmouth, sorry. It was bad enough when I saw him in the desert, masked, with our young, beautiful, healthy service members, and we're in the desert. They have zero chance of dying from a virus, zero chance. And in the desert, it's even a negative zero chance, right? Because the desert is clean, because the sun is purifying. The sun purifies. Go out in the sun. No, they want you to stay inside. Don't go outside. Stand 6 feet. I mean, they are demons. And when I saw McConville in our beautiful uniform with 4 stars, that we've given him everything, treat our service members like that and inspire fear, and instead of courage and esprit de corps and fearlessness and the Medal of Honor ethos and having some loyalty and integrity and honor and personal courage. No, when I saw him do that, that was bad enough. But when I saw him with Christine Doomsday Warmouth, I am like, who is she? Who is she to flip off a sitting senator? I couldn't believe it. We could not believe it. And it just showed us that was the pivot when we knew that our 44 4-star, well, I didn't even know we had 44 at that time. I went and looked it up. Who's these 4-star general? And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have 44? We have 44 4-star billets? Are you kidding me? We only have 1.3 million service members, and it's all failed. We have 44 4-star billets. 44 active duty generals and admirals. The last time I looked, 44 of them, and everything is a failure. We have trillions of dollars missing. They can't even keep up with the equipment. They can't keep up with the money. They can't find a missing soldier from the barracks. They can't control rapes and sexual harassment and porn producing doggies that want to rear puppies. No, they're bold. They want to wear our uniforms, be in our installations, be in our buildings, wearing our pride, our flag, and they want to show their erection in it and sell it and make money off of it. and then they take their little friends that have knowledge of creating these servers, and they broadcast it across our military sons and daughters that are volunteer serving for our country. And they broadcast it trying to poison them. They poison them with hopelessness, with depravity, with grooming them. It's so bad. And then they become drug addicts. Then they use alcohol. Then they become violent. Then they have guns all over the place. And then they come and slaughter and slice each other and bludgeon each other and bury each other. And you know what in the world? And we have 44 four-star generals. And this is what we get for our loyalty, for our money, for our support. This is what we get: destruction, dereliction, depravity. Our most valuable assets poisoned. Talk about poison. There is no dignity, no honor, no moral compass there at all. And this is our military. I just, so, and the same thing goes for Ohio. I hope they're all yelling out. But I have some good news. Let me show you this. This is very interesting too. I'll put this on and see. This just came up. So President Donald Trump says he's going to get into his beautiful plane, and he's going to go and hug those people in Ohio and see what is going on for himself and see what he can do. And then guess what happened? Breaking. Right after he said that he was going, he made the announcement. FEMA reversed their decision and will finally send federal aid. That's wow. That was a wowzer. And this here I made today, and I am going to play it.
Set fire to your hair, poke a stick at a grizzly bear, eat medicine that's out of date, use your private parts as piranha bait. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Get your toast out with a fork, do your own electrical work. Teach yourself how to fly, eat a 2-week-old unrefrigerated pie. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die.
Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. But we can't forget about Austin Hawke, and I spoke to his mother yesterday at the sentencing. She went to the sentencing of Austin's killer, murderer, slaughterer. And, the next one is coming up because there was 2. It was a collaboration.
There might have been more.
They, that evil did not just come out of nowhere. Who brought them into the military, and who put them in leadership roles, and who fostered and groomed them to be able to do this kind of evil? The barracks is just ripe for evil. I think the 44 four-star generals and admirals, 44 of them, World War II, with 13 million service members had seven 4-star billets. We have 44. I think they need to be held accountable. They need to be held accountable.
Yeah, because they're lowering the test scores for recruits, and they're going to put other volunteer sons and daughters in danger because they're lowering the requirements of who they can bring into the military. And it's already bad, and they're going to make it worse. And who, Byron Booker and Jordan Brown, they have histories, y'all. They should have never been brought into the military. And then they were put in leadership roles. So we have 44 4-star generals that need to be held, and admirals that need to be held accountable. We need to have a hearing right away, because you see the DOD even participated in what's going on in Ohio. It was the DOD that committed the crimes against humanity with this whole COVID nonsense. And that's all coming out, Yeah, that was a kind of a neat little. You can find this all on Twitter. Yeah. And I don't know why I'm putting a lot of Steve Bannon up. It's just I do know why. That is who is giving some really good information right now. I look at a lot of different things. People send me a lot of different things. Lindsey Graham, that's my senator. He flicked us off like a fly. He has no, he could care less about any service member, okay? He loves war. He must profit a lot off of the selling of war and fixing things that have been blown up and all of that. I don't know. I don't know exactly how he makes money on war. All I know is he is up to no good, and he didn't care a flip about Richard. Not in no way. And there's more information, but I just feel like I can't tell that. But he is just no good, y'all. He's no good. Yeah. And if he's messing with the judges, because, this is where Senator Cruz went wrong, approving a judge there in El Paso that could help us, but he approved someone that didn't help us. And we want to get the FOIAs for the Child Protective Service complaint. So even though Senator Cruz got flipped off, even though he did write that good letter, he's on a border. He's at a precipice. And, who is going to be the one that cares about the border, that cares about missing soldiers, that cares about our military, and is angry that they are serving foreign and domestic enemies and weaponizing their power against our own service members to destroy them, to poison them, to commit crimes against humanity. And not just poison through the Cobra strike, but poison in so many ways. I mean, we have a PTSD problem. How did that happen? It's the hypnosis, it's the propaganda, it's the constant severe retaliation, it's the threats, it's this SOP, just this carelessness, like we are seeing, like we're witnessing what is happening in Ohio. And as it gets exposed, they're going to have to, that is what will drive them to act. But otherwise, they don't act from any moral compass, that's for sure.
We We can put illegals in high-end hotels in New York City. We can provide these American citizens with homes when none of this is due to their fault. None of this had to do with any wrongdoing on their part. And someone please explain to me why Seminola wheat, why frozen vegetables are on the same train as vinyl chloride, hazardous waste, that if there is a derailment, you get a plume like that. I don't need to tell anybody what a plume like that means and what the long-term impact of that is going to be. So this is an environmental chemical hazard, and it requires the government to show up. And I don't want to hear, he didn't ask me, I didn't ask him. You either show up or give up your position as someone in government because we pay you.
Yep. Wow, that was really good. Let me see. Oh, this is what the Ohio's governor should wear, a mask, and maybe he'll get something. I wanted to end with that, but this was this is very important here because it's 200 people have been arrested. Over 200 people have been arrested in Florida on human trafficking, a human trafficking bust. So police in Florida have arrested more than 200 people in connection with a human trafficking enterprise after a week-long operation by multiple agencies. So there is how many U.S. Army or U.S. military soldiers are part of these 200 people? I would like to know. Because absolutely the military is engaged in human trafficking. Absolutely engaged in human trafficking, child sex trafficking, the fostering and creation of marketplaces for illegal drugs, the crimes against humanity with these forced Cobra strikes. What I heard today, Sergeant Major that was there in El Paso, and I reached out. Maybe he'll answer. He's on the verge of retiring, so we'll see. But he was there. So we'll see if he knows anything. But he was injured from the Cobra strike, and so they're absolutely committing all kinds of crimes of the worst kind. And we have 44 four-star generals and admirals, and they can't get a hold of this. They can't deliver any kind of victory anywhere. No victories anywhere. They are serving foreign and domestic enemies, and they are bringing us down. That's why this is so important. We need to investigate them. We need a hearing. We need to stop them before more of our service members get hurt, get bullied, get raped, get groomed further into this sex doggy rearing puppy cult, and more. That's just the tip of the iceberg. So, this is also interesting, and it just shows how absolute insane our military is. That's why, I'm not putting down our military. I am saying that it has been hijacked. It has been hijacked for no good, to serve foreign and domestic enemies. If they are serving foreign and domestic enemies, that means they are destroying bit by bit by bit our military. And they are money laundering those trillions of dollars that are missing. Where are they? Unaccounted for. And where is the equipment? What did we buy? Where is the accounting? They have failed 5 audits in a row. Okay? So we are under attack. Our military has been hijacked. We are left defenseless because we have 44 four-star generals that are working for the enemy. Generals and admirals, general officers, four-star billets. And how many, I'm going to say it and say it and say it until we have enough people that realize, and hopefully it won't be too late. And that's why we have the problem with the covering up of our son's case from the very beginning, not even contacting us, using asymmetric warfare tactics to collude and maneuver with military operations, to sabotage, to cover up the search for our son, because they know things. And it is disgusting that we have to get to this point, that our family even has to get to this point to find all this out, because we didn't know it. We didn't know it. We were like, please, we want just a win-win, a win for the military, a win for, our country, a win for our family. We want to know where our son is. Not knowing that our entire military has been hijacked for the enemy, and that all of our service members are under the threat of attack, of destruction, slow but sure. If it's not the Cobra Strike, it's going to be the porn. If it's not the porn, it's going to be the porn cults. If it's not the porn cults, it's going to be the extortion. If it's not the extortion, it's going to be the racketeering. If it's not the extortion and the racketeering and the porn cults, it's going to be the illegal drugs. If it's not the illegal drugs, it's going to be rape and sexual harassment. If it's not the sexual harassment and the rape, it's going to be the violence, the absolute violence with all of these guns everywhere. The flush with weapons, no control. And I went and got my concealed carry. I'm not anti-gun. I'm saying when you bring in girls and you have frat parties every day and you're creating alcoholics and you're creating a culture of rape and sex cults and everything, the weapons are going to be used badly. And if they're not being used, they'll find something like a knife to slit and cut, a hammer to bludgeon, a hatchet to behead. There's 3 beheadings. Vanessa Guillen was beheaded, Enrique Roman Martinez was beheaded, and Austin Hawke was beheaded. Wrap your mind around that. And I don't know what it's going to take. And my son's missing. And I've heard all kinds of things about him, what they did to him. And we, through these vile, vulgar messages, and we were able to trace these burner phones. One of them, they're all very interesting. One of them is very, very interesting because it's a government building, a very, very important government building. And it's crickets, you see. We caught them. We caught them with the special agent, CID, that was leaking Richard's file to Leilani Hart. Thank God for Judge Rodriguez, who went to the CID, overhearing this and his class that he was giving and having contact with these people. That's why the media went after him. They went after him because he came to, I have your 6. I have your 6. He came to bat for Richard Halliday, the missing soldier. And they don't want to uncover the crime across the border, the child sex trafficking, the puppy dog rearing puppies, whatever, porn cult, creating porn, selling porn, everyone's selling porn everywhere because they destroyed our economy. I mean, you can't even open up a restaurant. You can't do anything right now. You don't trust anything, but you can make a lot of money with porn. They are destroying our young people. And because if you do the porn, if you support the porn, if you watch the porn, you are supporting child sex trafficking. How do you recover from that? Then you get PTSD, then you go on antidepressants, then you take illegal drugs, then you become an alcoholic, and then, and then they wonder why the suicide rate is so high. These are enemies that are wearing our beautiful uniforms with 4 stars. Treasonous. And we need to put the death penalty back on the table. We need to talk about this. Because Enrique's head rolled ashore after being chopped off with a hatchet. His eyes poked out, his hair pulled out. We need to put the death penalty back on the table. And not for these people that have been groomed. I'm talking about people with real power. With real power that are the movers and the shakers that could really click heels together to make our army a moral, strong, esprit de corps, leave no soldier behind, just amazing host of power. But they're not doing that. They're hypnotizing the military police. They're at El Paso sending a senior leader groundlessly lying and smearing about Richard, the missing soldier. And, the MPs are sitting there going, oh, at the guard mount, okay, well, this is senior leader. I'm supposed to respect him. I'm supposed to trust what he have to say. Oh my gosh, we don't even need to look for this soldier. He's bad news. I'm going to go on social media and tell everyone that's looking for him, passing flyers out, not to do it. Not to do it. He's not worth it. And even that is wrong. You see, even that is criminal. He's an MP. He should have known with his training, with his moral compass, he should have known to say, what the heck are you doing? We need to find this soldier. When was he last seen? Who last talked to? Who was he involved with? Did he was he a whistleblower? I mean, this is what should have gone on at the military police guard mount, not a groundless smear campaign to hypnotize and do a psyop on the military police so that they don't do their job and they sabotage the search for a missing soldier. And then they're angry. So this is the poison, see. They become part of this. They know it's screaming in their whole soul, their whole body, their flesh. It's screaming what they're doing is wrong. And they get angry because they have no recourse. And then they get afraid because of all the retaliation. So they have fear, and then they get angry because they're afraid. So we are grooming cowards, you see? We're grooming cowards. We're giving them nowhere to go. They have families that they have to feed, and they have nowhere to go to be courageous. They have one choice, and that is to be a coward or a bully. I should say they have a couple choices: a coward or a bully or a total criminal. That's what they have. And then we wonder why we have PTSD problems and suicide problems and rape problems and sexual harassment problems and drug problems and alcohol problems and child sex trafficking problems and pedophilia problems and child beating problems. You wouldn't believe all the child beating that went on. Take your comments now. And rape problems. Hi, Donna. Hi, Donna. Hi, Danielle. Thank you so much. So this right here is just shows the problem with the military because they took very expensive planes, bombs, missiles, whatever, and this F-22 brought down a $13 weather balloon. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Um, it's just reality is so much better than the Matrix. It's so much better. So, so if you have any questions, we're going to just try to expose this on and on and on and on. We're waiting for more information because the latest is that Tavita Nusa had more to do with, looks like it, more to do with just leaking the file. And then who is this? Who is this Karen Solis or I don't think that's the real name. I think I know who that is. And then who is the other one? The West. Who had leaked files a week before we even knew. Leaked information. So the leaks continue. And this is big because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are a big part of this, and not in a good way. Look at the map that I put up. Look at the Colonial Juarez area up to Nove Grandes, Casa Grandes. Look at that area. Look at the China Plaza. Look at that map. Santa Teresa, port of entry. All of that needs to be investigated, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints could help us. They could be a light in this. I've asked them to be a light in this. No response. I've had a couple phone calls that I was unable to answer, and it looks like BYU, so or Brigham Young University, yeah. So I was thinking, maybe someone's trying to reach out a little bit, but Mitt Romney should reach out. Those are his stomping grounds, y'all. Those are his that border, all the way into Juarez, to Colonial Juarez. That's where his dad was born. That is where they have a lot of stakes, and all the horses and the horse training and the horse breeding and all of that. That's his stomping ground. If you look at where his children went to school, that would be interesting, because they have a beautiful school there, in Colonial Juarez, and so it must be very safe. And they have ranches and orchards and farms and all kinds of beautiful. It's lush. It's beautiful. Their temple is there. And so people involved in this case, like Leilani Hart, if she wants to go to temple, she has to go across the border. And so she goes across the border often. Then she's going to know, especially being active duty under Major General Clem Coward, she's going to know people in the border, the Customs and Border Protectors. Yeah, she is. And would she go through Santa Teresa port of entry? That would be interesting. Which one does she go through often? So these are all part of the investigation, and here we are having to say it all publicly. And it's dangerous. But, we're in danger anyway. if they are getting rid of our food plants, if they are messing with our waterways for our farming, for our wheat, for our oats, if they're messing with the air quality that's falling on, killing our fish and killing our crops and killing our people and making everyone sick, if they're doing that, what is it going to take? We've got to stand up now while we have energy, while we have the power. And we do have the power. We have, under God, we have dominion. God has dominion. The people of God have dominion. These evil people, they just have power. That's it. They have no victory. They have power. So we need to stand up now. And it's going to be through all of this mess, uncovering this whole political mess, where we are finally going to get answers for Richard. That's what I think. And so please share. Share that song, Dumb Ways to Die. Just remember going through school and learning about World War II. We were like, how could the Jews just march into the showers? How could they not fight back? How could they just go, into those train cars? How could they just do that? Yeah. So share. And if you're happen to be in that area, thank you for being boots on the ground. I'm getting lots of information constantly. And there's a lot of little mysteries that we still need to know. And with time, inch by inch, I used to call it morsel by morsel, Operation Hansel and Gretel. And that's still in play. So thank you, everyone. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. Oh, thank you, Kat. Thank you so much. Okay.